In this video, we'll be taking a look at 3 college football games happening on November 4th, 2023, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 6 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 3 college football games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start. If you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. SMU versus Rice. This Saturday, a thrilling American Athletic Conference clash takes place as the SMU Mustangs journey to Houston's Rice Stadium to face their in-state rivals, the Rice Owls. SMU enters the game on the back of a resounding 69-10 victory over Tulsa, marking their 4th consecutive win, during which they've outscored their opponents 124-10. Meanwhile, the Rice Owls come into this matchup following a narrow 30-28 defeat against Tulane, having lost 2 of their last 3 games. Notably, neither SMU nor Rice have any players listed on their respective injury reports. The SMU Mustangs boast an explosive offense, averaging an impressive 40.5 points per game, ranking them 8th nationally. Their passing game is a standout feature, averaging 295 yards per game, which ranks 15th in the country. Additionally, their ground attack averages 168 yards per game, placing them 52nd in the nation. Overall, the Mustangs amass an average of 463 total offensive yards per game, ranking 16th in the nation. Quarterback Preston Stone has been a standout performer with 2,138 passing yards, 19 touchdowns, and just 5 interceptions, having been sacked a mere 8 times. Jalen Knighton leads SMU in rushing with 456 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Jordan Curley tops the receiving charts with 18 catches for 319 yards and 2 touchdowns. Impressively, 7 SMU players have recorded 210 or more receiving yards. Defensively, SMU has proven to be a force, allowing an average of just 14 points per game, ranking them 5th best in the country. They yield a mere 280.8 yards per game, positioning them 12th overall. Notably, SMU excels in pass defense, allowing an average of only 166.5 passing yards per game, marking them 8th best. They also give up an average of 114.3 rushing yards per game, which ranks 28th. Cole Wilson is the leading tackler for SMU with 44 tackles, and the leader in quarterback sacks is Elijah Roberts with 5. Impressively, the back 7 has recorded 6 interceptions, with 6 different players contributing. SMU has a formidable 27 quarterback sacks to their name. Turning to the Rice Owls, they maintain an average of 33 points per game, which is 33rd in the country, while their total offensive output averages 394.6 yards per game, ranking 64th nationally. Rice's rushing game is less potent, averaging just 91.1 yards per game, placing them 126th in that category. Nonetheless, they make up for it with a strong passing game, averaging 303.5 yards per game, marking them 13th. Quarterback JT Daniels leads the charge with 2,362 yards passing, 19 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. Dean Connors is the top rusher for Rice with 337 yards and 4 touchdowns, while Luke McCaffrey is the leading receiver, having caught 41 passes for 692 yards and 8 touchdowns. Defensively, Rice allows an average of 28 points and 392.3 yards per game, ranking 86th and 89th, respectively. They give up an average of 147.1 rushing yards and 245.1 passing yards per game, placing them 72nd and 98th, respectively. Lee White is the tackle leader for Rice with 56 tackles, while Coleman Coco has amassed 3 quarterback sacks. Gabriel Taylor leads in interceptions with 2. Overall, Rice has recorded 18 quarterback sacks and 4 interceptions. Given that SMU averages 40.5 points per game and excels in their 295-yard passing game, they are poised to exploit Rice's pass defense, which ranks 98th in the nation, allowing an average of 245.1 passing yards. Furthermore, SMU's ground game, which averages 168 yards per game, should take advantage of Rice's 72nd ranked rush defense, permitting 147.1 yards per game. SMU's defense is one of the best in the country, allowing just 14 points per game and ranking 8th against the pass. They yield an average of 166.5 passing yards per game, and this is particularly significant since Rice's strength lies in their passing game, which averages 303.5 yards per game. Expect SMU to stifle Rice's passing attack while capitalizing on their own aerial prowess led by quarterback Preston Stone. The Mustangs showcased their dominance in a convincing victory against Tulsa last weekend, compiling an impressive 638 total yards, averaging 9.4 yards per play, 27 first downs, and committing 0 turnovers. They've been on a roll with 4 consecutive wins, scoring 31 or more points in each game while allowing 16 or fewer points. Rice exhibited a spirited performance in their recent match against a strong Chilean team, although it was narrowly insufficient for victory. Notably, the Owls have consistently scored 24 or more points in their last 7 games, suggesting they can maintain a competitive pace in this encounter. However, Rice's second-half resurgence in their previous game may not carry over into this matchup, so the SMU Mustangs to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Although SMU's defense allows an average of only 14 points per game, their high-scoring offense, averaging 40.5 points, will face a Rice defense that permits an average of 28 points. SMU's robust passing attack is poised to accumulate yards quickly, putting a significant number of points on the board and providing more possessions for both teams, thus elevating the overall point total. It's worth noting that the total has gone over in 5 of Rice's last 7 games and in 5 of the last 7 matchups between SMU and Rice. Moreover, SMU boasts one of the most potent offenses in the country, averaging 40 points per game. They are also the 22nd quickest offense, utilizing 74.7 offensive plays per game. This sets up a favorable matchup against Rice, which ranks just 100th defensively, allowing 31 points per game. On the flip side, as mentioned earlier, it's expected that JT Daniels, Rice's quarterback, will be able to maintain competitiveness in this game and contribute to the point tally. Notably, the over has prevailed in an impressive 11 of Rice's last 13 home contests. The odds makers anticipate a high-scoring game in Houston on Saturday night, and this expectation aligns with my assessment. With both teams possessing potent offenses, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Washington versus Southern California. On Saturday afternoon at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, the number 5 Washington Huskies are set to take on the number 24 Southern California Trojans in a highly anticipated conference showdown. The Huskies aim to maintain their unbeaten record in 2023, while the Trojans look to build on their recent victory over the California Golden Bears after enduring 2 consecutive losses. In their previous encounter during the 2019 season, Washington emerged victorious with a 28-14 win over Southern California, albeit on home turf. The Washington Huskies entered this contest fresh off a 42-33 victory over Stanford, improving their record to an unblemished 8-0 for the year, and securing the number 5 spot in the college football playoff rankings. Quarterback Michael Penix Jr. has been outstanding, amassing 2,945 passing yards, 24 touchdowns, and just 6 interceptions, completing 69% of his passes. On the rushing front, Dylan Johnson leads the Huskies with 430 yards and 6 touchdowns. In the receiving department, Rome Odens tops the chart with 51 receptions for 907 yards and 7 touchdowns, while Jalen Polk has 46 receptions for 836 yards and 7 touchdowns. The Huskies' aerial arsenal also includes Jalen McMillan with 311 receiving yards and Jeremy Bernard with 274 receiving yards, complemented by 3 more Huskies each amassing 100-plus receiving yards. Defensively, Adefewin Olufoshio leads the Huskies with 57 total tackles, and the Huskies, as a unit, have combined for 10 sacks and 9 interceptions. The Southern California Trojans come into this matchup following a thrilling 50-49 win over Cal, improving their record to 7-2 this season. Quarterback Caleb Williams has been a standout performer with 2,646 passing yards, 25 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions on an impressive 68.2% completion rate. In the rushing department, Marshawn Lloyd leads the team with 766 yards and 8 touchdowns, while Austin Jones has contributed 258 rushing yards and 5 touchdowns. Caleb Williams, the The quarterback has also added 9 rushing touchdowns to his season tally. In the receiving game, Taj Washington leads Southern California with 35 receptions for 711 yards and 5 touchdowns, while Brendan Rice has hauled in 30 passes for 519 yards and a team-high 9 touchdowns. The Trojans' receiving corps features an additional 4 members with 200-plus receiving yards and 4 more with 100-plus receiving yards. Defensively, Jalen Smith stands out with a team-high 56 total tackles, and the Trojans boast a solid defensive front with Jamal Muhammad leading in sacks, followed by Solomon Bayat and Romulo Height. One key mismatch to watch in this game revolves around Washington's elite passing offense, which goes head-to-head with Southern California's rather average pass defense. Michael Penix Jr. currently leads the nation in passing yards, having thrown for 299 more yards than Caleb Williams in fewer games. In contrast, Southern California's pass defense ranks 7th in the Pac-12, while Washington leads all passing categories within the conference. In a previous encounter with Oregon, the top-ranked passing defense in the Pac-12, Washington managed to throw for 316 yards, despite the Ducks' strong defense that allows just 208 passing yards per game. Additionally, factors such as motivation and momentum favor Washington, with questions arising about Caleb Williams' future appearances and Southern California's unimpressive performance in their last 3 games. Worth noting is that Southern California is 2-7 against the spread. Furthermore, Southern California has struggled to cover the spread in their 4 home games this season, including a narrow 34-32 straight-up loss to the Utah Utes in their last game at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. They have failed to cover the spread in 6 consecutive games overall, with just 2 against the spread wins in 9 attempts. In their prior clash with Southern California in 2019, the Huskies secured both a win and an against-the-spread cover. The Huskies' defense has performed better on the road, allowing only 367.3 total yards of offense away from their home stadium, compared to 420.8 in Washington. Their road record stands at 3 straight wins with 31 or more points scored in each of those games. Southern California has suffered a home loss this season and narrowly escaped the Arizona Wildcats in overtime, a team that Washington defeated by 7 points on the road. October was a challenging month for Southern California, and facing Oregon, Washington, and UCLA in their final stretch poses a significant challenge. The Huskies have demonstrated resilience throughout the season, and with an unbeaten record, they are well positioned to win on the road. Michael Penix Jr. and Washington's high-caliber passing game present a formidable challenge for the Trojans' defense, which has shown vulnerabilities in recent games. While the total points in this game are expected to be substantial, the risk lies in testing the upper limit given Southern California's defensive struggles. This game carries college football playoff implications for Washington, adding further motivation for a strong performance. Considering the trends and the high stakes, the Washington Huskies to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Both Southern California and Washington rank in the top 10 nationally in various key offensive categories, particularly in average points scored per game, indicating their ability to rack up points rapidly. Southern California has exceeded the point total in 6 consecutive games and in 8 out of 9 games this season. In games played at the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum, Southern California has gone over the point total in 6 of their last 7 matchups. Southern California leads the nation in average points scored per game, averaging 46 points. Moreover, both teams rank in the bottom half in the country for passing yards allowed, suggesting a high-scoring game through the air. Southern California has scored 43 or more points in all but one of their home games this season, while Washington has tallied 40-plus points in 2 of their 3 away games. The statistics strongly support the expectation of significant point production from both teams. While the point total is set at a lofty level, it feels like a game that may be decided by which team manages to get a stop, if a stop occurs at all. The lack of strong defense on both sides evokes memories of high-scoring affairs such as the LSU-Ole Miss game, which concluded with a score of 55-49. This contest is likely to result in a 42-38 style of game. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. Purdue versus Michigan. In this Big Ten matchup on Saturday night, the Purdue Boilermakers are set to travel and face the number 3 Michigan Wolverines at the Wolverines' home turf. The Boilermakers are coming off a challenging 31-14 loss on the road against Nebraska, while the Wolverines arrive with the momentum of an impressive 49-0 win over their rivals, the Michigan State Spartans. The Purdue Boilermakers are currently holding a 2-6 record for the season following their recent loss to Nebraska by a score of 31-14. Despite being down 24-0 in the fourth quarter, Purdue managed to score 2 late touchdowns. Although the game was largely in favor of Nebraska, the Boilermakers were outgained by a total of 277-195, but displayed resilience by forcing 4 turnovers. Purdue has faced tough competition during their 3-game losing streak, including losses to Ohio State and Iowa. The Boilermaker offense averages 22 points per game with 215.5 passing yards and 133.3 rushing yards per game while converting on 39.7% of their third down attempts. Hudson Card has thrown for 1,717 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions for the Boilermakers this season, with Devin Mockobee contributing 520 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. Dan Burks leads the receiving corps with 29 receptions for 426 yards and 5 scores. On the defensive front, Purdue concedes an average of 30 points per game this season. The Michigan Wolverines are currently boasting an 8-0 record for the season, and they arrive on the back of a dominating 49-0 victory against Michigan State in their last outing. The Wolverines completely controlled this game from start to finish, keeping the Spartans at bay throughout. Michigan outgained Michigan State by a significant margin of 477-182 and forced 2 turnovers to secure a convincing win. While Michigan has been dominant against their schedule, they have yet to face any formidable competition. The Wolverines' offense averages 41 points per game with 247.4 passing yards and 174.3 rushing yards per game, and they maintain a 56.5% third down conversion rate. J.J. McCarthy, the Wolverines' quarterback, has thrown for 1,799 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions this season. Running back Blake Corum has contributed 605 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns, while Roman Wilson leads the receiving game with 27 receptions for 446 yards and 10 touchdowns. Michigan's defense has been outstanding, allowing just 6 points per game this year. The Michigan Wolverines, among the nation's top teams, have consistently covered spreads against weaker competition throughout the season. Their powerful defense and offense, coupled with Purdue's offensive struggles, indicate that the Wolverines may simply be too much for Purdue to handle, especially when on the road. Purdue's difficulties in generating offense are evident, with an average of only 21 points per game. Michigan's defense, arguably one of the best in the country, is holding opponents to approximately 230 yards and 6 points per game. It's likely that the Wolverines are in a position to secure another shutout if Purdue doesn't execute well. On the offensive side, Michigan is averaging about 420 yards and 41 points per game, while Purdue's defense allows opponents to average approximately 380 yards and 30 points per game. Expect the Wolverines to accumulate a substantial team total over 4 quarters. While Michigan's recent streak of covering spreads has been impressive, there may come a time when they either lose or fail to cover. Earlier in the season, their offense was lackluster, and they struggled to cover spreads against non-conference teams. However, during conference play, their offense has significantly improved. Their versatile offense, characterized by a strong offensive line, potent ground game, and effective passing game that results in 40 points per game, is now in full swing. Michigan's defense is simply too formidable for Purdue and their quarterback, Hudson Card. Purdue struggled to move the ball against Nebraska, putting their defense under constant pressure as they spent an extensive amount of time on the field. This game presents another challenging matchup for Michigan, which is likely to result in another lopsided win, especially when playing at home. Expect a long night for Purdue in Ann Arbor, so the Michigan Wolverines to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. Michigan's offensive prowess is evident by their average of nearly 41 points per game, with 45 or more points scored in their last 4 games. Given that Purdue is allowing less competitive teams to average about 30 points per game this season, Michigan is expected to be the primary contributor to the total points in this game. While Purdue may struggle to score, it's possible that they will manage a few field goals and perhaps sneak into the end zone once or twice. Purdue has not been shut out this season, even against formidable opponents like Ohio State. Their passing game should allow them to sustain a few drives and reach scoring positions. While it's unlikely they will score 20 or more points, 13 or 14 points would be a valuable contribution to the total. On one hand, Purdue may find it challenging to score points. On the other hand, during the fourth quarter, both teams may field many backups. Additionally, Michigan could accumulate points off turnovers or provide their offense with a short field. 3 out of the last 4 games between these two teams have gone over the point total. Michigan has exceeded the point total in 4 consecutive games. The initial line opened at 48.5 and has since moved up to 50.5. Nevertheless, the line still appears undervalued. Over the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed. Subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.